He's Black Guy Fawkes, and I'm the donkey to his Shrek. And together we are Fawkes and Friends. Today, the third friend we're talking to about creativity and social justice is Tim Hause.
1, 2, 3, 4. From coast to coast, from sea to shining sea, what he got is fucking wrong. His land's not made for you and me. We're chatting built our wall as we tear down bathroom stalls. And watch our kids get slaughtered as they run straight through the hall. Let's go!
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm never wrong, Ian. I'm never wrong. It's so good to see you not in a car, not almost dying while touring with our friends, the Peanuts.
We almost died, but hey, we made it through. It went well. Woo! That was such a fun time. We got to hang out with the Peanuts. We got to see a lot of our friends in different areas, and got to show them a lot of different foods. And I mean, even though they're from Colchester, Connecticut, but they really get out. So we got to show them all around the U.S.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And some of that food almost killed us, too. I do want to congratulate Ian for being the only one of the four of us to finish the giant cheeseburger that had grilled cheese for buns.
yeah, let's talk about this for a second before we get into whatever it is we're doing. So yeah, I also train of thought because all that cheeseburger grease just went right into my brain. But we stopped in a place called Old Wisco in Wisconsin. But we stopped at a restaurant so we can go eat, and they have this burger on menu called the Easy Cheesy.
In Delavan, Wisconsin.
It was what?
Delavan, Wisconsin.
Delavan, Wisconsin. That's where it was. Old Wisco, Delavan, Wisconsin. And that burger that had all the fixings on it had tomato, cheese, pickle, lettuce, onion. But on top of that, the buns were grilled cheeses filled with bacon.
I forgot about the bacon. Yeah.
And we all decided, hey, let's get four of them. We can all finish it. I was the only one that finished it. And that was kind of our competition. I won, but in a much broader sense, we all lost that.
We all lost that day.
Because we're all just defeated. And I don't think any of us pooped until like the next day either.
Yeah.
Or it was 2 days, 2 days later, because that ooh,
But thank you.
That backed me up.
Thank you again to everybody that put us up and put up with us, especially Ian and I snoring.
We can talk about this interview with Tim Hause. Me and Tim, we met at Thunderbird in Pittsburgh, and I don't think I told you this, Ed, but while I was up on my birthday online back in July, I found out that his birthday was the day after mine, and we both turned 31 this year.
Just babies. You're just both babies.
We are both babies, and we're all connected in this life. So this was a really fun interview. We talked about this new record, Pieces and Conditions, which is a masterpiece, and talk a lot about mental health as well. So this is going to be a really fun episode. So let's get into it. Tim Hause, welcome to Fawkes and Friends. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be talking to you. We're catching up a little bit about the tour that I just came back from in the UK. We're catching up over text, so it's good to see your face and hear your voice, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk today. I've listened to you and your brother for a good long while, and I think we first met in March. I'm pretty sure, or April. I can't remember, at Thunderbird.
Yeah.
And that's my first time actually seeing both of you live, both your solo sets and him as well. But I am curious on what is your musical background?
My musical background, I took an interest in guitar. My dad is a guitar player, and he is pretty involved with his church, and we were raised in the church. We had a house, so I was raised in the house, sorry, bad joke. Yeah, so we were raised in going to church, and so he was like the worship leader at the time, and actually still is to this day. And so he was always getting ready for Sunday service, whether that, preparing the music, getting ready. That was always a part of our weekly, I grew up in a household with 5 kids. I'm the youngest of 5. It was always chaos, but I think that the acoustic guitar and the sound of the piano being played were kind of these ballasting, centering sound forces that were going on amidst all the chaos of the 5 kids. So I would say I took an interest in guitar at probably the age of 7. And I really just my brother was a guitar player, my dad is a guitar player, and they just started teaching me some of the basics at that time. My family made all of us take piano lessons, which at the time I was pretty chagrined about, and now I wish I would have been more engaged in those lessons because, it's just such a great basis and foundation for everything that can happen in music is what you can see it right out in front of you on the piano. I can kind of plink around on the piano and get by enough. I can sort of play it on stage, but I fall back on like the Johnny Cash, like whole note kind of like, you know, low octave kind of thing because I'm not as proficient as I wish I was. But yeah, that's how it all started out. Just having the guitar in the house, everybody was singing all the time. That was one of my main positive takeaways from being raised in a Christian household was there was always singing. So like church might have sucked. I might not have agreed with everything, but at least I could go there and sing. That was kind of the saving grace for me about that whole, upbringing.
What bands did you start listening to when you were playing?
I would say like the biggest one would be the Beatles. Like the Beatles early on, my mom and dad, they sort of found the church and found their faith when they were in their mid-20s. They were together in high school. So they sort of found their faith in their 20s. And I think the Beatles were like, they got swept up in the wave of like Christian contemporary music, which I find to be, kind of rough. But like the Beatles were still musical enough and they weren't like, it wasn't like so I mean, it is super secular, but it was just secular enough that it could kind of straddle the line. And so the Beatles were a prominent force. And I would say the Beatles and Tom Petty were like two of the main acts from my youth that were always on in the house. And really to this day, for in my household, they're mainstays. But I found all kinds of stuff on my own. My brother was great. My first favorite band actually was the Bouncing Souls. He was working for them back in those days. He was working for them around like 2001 to '04 maybe, and that was in a really formative time for me. I started learning the guitar, and I figured out I could play power chords. Cool. Actually, that was kind of what got me into this whole mess. Was I was 10 years old. Dave was working for the Souls, and the Loved Ones were about to play their first show at the Trocadero in Philly, legendary venue that's now shut. And Dave approached me about, hey, like, I know you've been working on these Bouncing Soul songs. You want to play one with them? And I was like, yeah, of course. And they called me up on stage. I was only 10. The guitar's bigger than me. I played Manthem with them. And then fast forward like 2 years later, it was a sold out crowd, like amazing. Like it definitely was the thing that it put the hook in my mouth and I've been chasing it ever since, So 2 years later, 3 years later, they put out a live record. And I remember listening to the live record and hearing the end of Manthem. And you could hear Greg going, "The kid rocks." And I was like, no way. And sure enough, I looked into it and they took the version that I played with them in Philly and put that on the live record. So that was the first time I was actually on a recording, was with the Bouncing Souls playing guitar. I'm sure they muted my guitar, but all good.
I'll do one of this too. So on the subject of your songwriting, I noticed that even though your new record, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, there are, going back to what we talked about the church, there are some beams in your record of like religion. And I'm kind of the same way in my stuff. I have like a weird relationship when it comes to religion where I'm not necessarily atheist, but I'm not really like, I'm very agnostic at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
that's for me spending 7 years in Catholic school. So I kind of wonder, where does religion factor into your music? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, I would say it factors in. I think the biggest thing that I took from my upbringing from the religious standpoint was I ended up following something with my life path that was based on belief. It wasn't based on I can make a lot of money doing this. There's no real logical reason to pursue music unless you believe in it. And so my parents, they worked, both of them, 7 days a week. They busted their tails to make sure that they could send us to a private school. It was a Christian school, but luckily there was enough good teachers in there and good curriculum enough that I was able to rub shoulders with people from different backgrounds. My mom was raised in the projects, and she like pulled herself out of that and just worked very hard. I remember, like, before I started going to school, she would clean houses and I would go with her. And so I would always just kind of be in these amazing houses going like, and that was just normal to me. And that would have been completely foreign to her in her childhood. So I think that, yeah, the main thing would just be just having a belief and going on that and having faith that it's going to work out despite pretty much little to no evidence that that's actually the truth. Everybody, you say you want to go into music, and everybody that's older than you immediately starts to get scared and immediately starts to, give you a laundry list of fallback options. And, oh, you really should do this. You should really do that. Okay. But, I didn't, I just went with my gut and my belief.
I relate to that a lot. I want to get into music as soon as I hit high school. I knew I was doing that's why I wanted to do them. But my mom gave me the speech of, I approve of it. I support you. But I have a fallback plan. Then just trying to get me to get into different programs like out of high school, like out of college and everything. And my uncle plays in a lot of different jazz bands around Baltimore. He kind of did the same thing too. For a while, I feel like we'll relate to this. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to work out at all. But luckily, I've been able to kind of pick up the pace the last 2 years when it comes to it. So I don't have to worry about about being like a struggling artist.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I don't know if there's ever, I don't know if you ever get out of that mindset either. I feel like I have a way more comfortable situation now, and I'm able to not like come home and have to do other work. But I still had the mentality of like, okay, gotta keep on working on whatever's next so that I could secure like a life in this. Cause it's just so tenuous in this industry. It's crazy.
That's obviously something that weighs on both of you. What kind of backup plans have you considered? What does music help translate to, perhaps in a different setting?
For me, it would be going into psychology and being a therapist. I kind of view myself, especially with the style of writing and the way, obviously like the new record's called Pre-Existing Conditions. There's plenty of mental health elements in there. And, mental health is sort of the fulcrum on which the whole record sits. And a lot of my songwriting sits on that fulcrum as well. And so I joke with I joke with people from time to time and say like, oh, I'm an amateur therapist. And so I write songs and that's my kind of way in, but I would absolutely pursue being a therapist.
For me, I've always loved bringing people together. I love that aspect of like creating events. So I want to go to event planning. And I guess going forward, like in the event that this does not work out and I lose all my money, I'm just going to go right into marketing for bands because that's one aspect I love the most, just helping bands kind of get their foot out the door and pushing forward and playing shows. So,
Do you find that you are good at that for yourself?
yes and no. Yeah, it's that gamble of like there's some shows like when like 40 people come out, then there's some shows when just nobody does it all. So I feel like I do a pretty good job marketing myself, but I'm still learning along the way. And
Yeah.
I honestly I don't know what the fuck I'm doing at all. Like I'm gonna go everything against the wall, just see what sticks.
Yeah.
So
Because
think
I
that's
feel
the way to
like
be.
there's something to marketing for somebody else that is just like a little bit more comfortable. Like I'm not good at promoting myself. I'm not good at marketing myself. But I think I would probably be halfway decent at it for somebody else.
yeah, I mean I know I can relate my friends, but usually when it comes to me, I let Ed promote me. Even though people spell my name wrong when he when he promotes me.
People spell your name wrong all the time, and
They
it's like
do.
there's
What
so many great not Black Guy Fawkes variations.
what was
there.
it that that girl spelled out?
Oh
Was
yeah,
that
no, I was talking to some girl at a bar about Ian's music, and it was loudish there, so she starts typing it into Spotify, and some horrible things came up because Fox was not spelled like Fox at all, and it was directing to some uncomfortable videos.
That's awesome.
My favorite one, though, is being called Black Hawk Down. Like, that's not even close.
You probably get some of that too with your last name, I'm sure.
Oh, it's a never-ending tug of war with how it's meant to be said. Sometimes I just give up. I mean, in Germany, I don't really correct people because I think like our name doesn't or originate in Germany, and it's like closer to the pronunciation the way they do it. They do house, but it is Hause. That's the way we say it. Whether that's the American like kind of bastardized version of it or not, that's definitely how we say it. But yeah, we run into this all the time.
Just lean into it, get that 808 behind your music, and have a Hawes music album,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Oh, awesome music.
Well, my wife is an interior designer, and she was toying with rebranding and using our last name, and I was like, "Please, like, no, don't do it." You know, I was kind of like, "Trust me, you don't want to do it," and that would even confuse it more because it's like house, you know, it's like home house. So I was like, "No, don't do it," but we'll see. We'll see what she goes with.
So let's talk about pre-existing conditions.
Let's do
And
it.
that record was listening to it just recently. It was fucking incredible. And one thing I appreciate the most is just the songwriting because, like you said, it was about a lot of different mental health things. And my last record that I put out deal with my own mental health still. I'm kind of curious because I dealt with this when I was writing it when you were putting it out. Do you get nervous putting like being that vulnerable, like writing this, then putting it out into the world, or have you got more comfortable with it?
You know, I feel that I'm pretty comfortable with it, and I don't know that I should be. I think that it's a really daunting and kind of terrifying prospect to do it. Um, but for whatever reason, I find it to be I find it to not be that nerve wracking. And maybe that's just because I keep my head down. I continue to do more and more work. But yeah, for whatever reason, I'm not too nervous about putting it out. I think that I'm pretty resolute in knowing that, hey, if I feel some of these things, there's bound to be someone else out there that feels these things too. So my whole thing with music is just trying, you know, you put it out there hoping that somebody else can connect to it. All my favorite music, I kind of heard myself in those words and I thought, wow, how did that songwriter get into my brain? And it was really just because they went into their own brain and were able to encapsulate it well into words, and then it just resonated with me. So I think oddly enough, I'm not that worried about it. It was, you know, you have these moments though, like for instance, on this last tour that I did with Mercy Union, the last night we were in Stafford, I believe it was, and there was two like punk bands on the bill, and then I played, and then Mercy Union played. And so when I was watching all the bands and like, you know, halfway through the second act set, it kind of occurred to me like, oh, I'm about to do the most vulnerable thing of the night. Like it's just going to be Guy and a guitar and his feelings. And everybody's been drinking, everybody's been like into these other bands and they have drums and it's loud and I'm just going to go up there and it's really like getting up there and being naked. And I have these moments of that, of the realization of like, wow, this is a really vulnerable thing. But for whatever reason, I just have my resolve to do it is steeled over and I'm kind of just like committed to it for better or for worse.
Here's a question
I-
for both of you because you guys do write vulnerable songs. Is it weird to have people sing those back at you while you're performing?
Honestly, it's not, it's the best. It's the best. Like, cause to me, that's the hallmark of like, they resonated with somebody enough that they could learn those and then, you know, have the guts to sing them out in public. So to me, like, I remember it really, the first one that it happened to me with was the Dave Hause song, The Ditch. That was a chorus that I came up with and I brought to the table when we were going into writing and that was the first one, and still to this day, it's one of the mainstays in the set. It's a staple. It's a almost every night we close with it, or just about. It's like it'll close the principal set, and then we'll come out and do an encore or whatever the case is. But that song still, when I hear people saying that, it still gives me, the goosebumps.
Yeah, I would say for me it is weird, but in a good feeling because I feel like Tim said it best. uh, it is weird seeing people sing back to what you wrote at a very dark time, but it's also uplifting too because it shows that you're not alone. It shows that people can themselves just via beats or whatever. Like people are paying attention to the lyrics and people are finding themselves in these songs too. So um, and there was one song off this record that really got me. That was Who Let the Dog. I text you about that because
Yeah.
first I was expecting Baja, but then I realized why am I crying so?
Yeah, there's how close the link between tears and laughter is. So I had to do it. I had to do it. It was just sitting right there where it would be like, I just thought there's something funny to me about people thinking that it's a goof and then going in and they're like,
Well, most of the writing process like for this record. So I saw that you worked with Adam Lillard, who I love on drums. He's just fucking fantastic. And Dan Andriano. And then
yeah.
what surprised me was just seeing two guitar players from Matchbox 20 on it. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. But I was
Yeah.
working with them.
It was incredible. I mean, I worked on the songs on my own. I had a lot of these. I put them up, and they were at least standing on 1 foot, some of them on 2 feet, and then I had Dave come into the process, and he helped me finish them all, and he helped me, improve on any weak spots or whatever. And then, just the magic of Nashville and getting in with a guy like Will Hogue. He's sort of been um our tour guide through Nashville, and Will, wherever he goes in Nashville, he's just so regarded and revered that everybody sort of rolls out the red carpet for him, no matter if they're in Taylor Swift's band or in Matchbox 20 or in, you name it, Sheryl Crow. Like he just has Vince Gill and Amy Grant. Like we had Gary Tennant from the E Street Band play on Blood Harmony. We had Sadler from Jason Isbell's band. And we've gotten tight with Sadler and since then. Chris Powell from Brandy Carlisle's band played on that record as well. So it's just, we've been blessed enough to become like, we joke and call each other like city cousin, country cousin with Will Hogue because he's sort of just, we have a kinship with him, and he's just opened up his Rolodex and opened up his heart to us down in Nashville, and the results have been incredible. All the people that we've been able to work with and meet. And then, this one, for this particular record, all I wanted to do was rock. And I said that going in, and actually, so Dave was sort of like a co-producer on the record, and Will was putting his team of guys together that he wanted. He's really good. It's like you're almost like a general manager of a basketball team when you're trying to suss out which guys are the right fits for the job. And Dave and Will, both independent of each other, wanted Adam to be the drummer. And Adam lives down in Nashville, and he's just incredible. And so that was such a good sign of all of us being on the same page, because they independently of each other wanted him to be the guy. And then it was like, all right, well, if he's going to be drumming, like, should we go for the other part of the rhythm section in Alkaline Trio? It's one of my favorite bands ever. I love their songwriting. I think they're just phenomenal. I think they're very underrated from a songwriting standpoint. And so that was just, and knowing, I always like to leave room for the Holy Spirit in the recording process. I don't like to be too nailed down on all the parts. I'm kind of like, I want to leave room for magic to happen when you're all in the room. And to have Dan as a part of it, knowing what he can bring from a theory standpoint and from a creativity standpoint, that was beautiful, because he just had so many good chordal kind of insights and, oh, you could do this. And then, of course, like almost every time he had an idea, it was like, yes, let's absolutely do it. Let's commit to it. It sounds great. So it just was, it was amazing. And then the Matchbox 20 thing was kind of, I I didn't know Kyle going into it, but Kyle was awesome. He is an incredible guitar player, and it was just a perfect fit. And then Nathan Keeterly is a young gun. He is a little bit younger than me, and he is, I think the secret is out that he is like the guy in rock in Nashville. I mean, he's such a rocker. Like, and I think what was cool about for us going down to Nashville is a lot of these guys that their living is to play on country music. That's what everything runs on country. So, but they're really rock and roll guitarists at heart. So when you say take the governor off, like this is not a country record. You can see the glimmer in their eye. They get this glint in their eye and they're like, yes, it's time to feast. And then it's so cool because you can just like let these guys rip and it makes for such a good vibe in the studio because they're getting to do something that they don't often get to do. And they just relish any opportunity to do it. So it was awesome.
So it was all done in person there? Like you guys all were together? Was anything contributed remotely, and how does stuff like that work for you?
Yeah, and, the remote stuff, we kinda had to get good at it. Dave and I have done he lives out in California and I'm in Philly, so we've been, forced, economically and also from the pandemic, we've been forced to figure out how to work together and, write songs despite that distance. So a lot of that work, we did from a distance from a songwriting standpoint, but luckily, like pretty much everything was done there. I think that there was a couple things that so when we were listening back to mixes, I had some ideas that sort of fell to the wayside, and I was like, you know what? I think there's in the song Summerkiss, I added a baritone guitar to it after the fact. So that there was a couple overdub opportunities for me to do on my own and some vocals here and there, but really for the most part, it was all done when we were down there all together, which is a really cool way to do it. I hadn't done it in that fashion before. In my first record, we put things on there later. So we kind of I put down all these like acoustic sort of skeletal arrangements for everything down with an acoustic guitar and a vocal. And then I had this guy Josh Grange come in and put all these other elements in. And then like drums happened later, which is I was never accustomed to that. And it was cool. I'm really happy with what we came up with. But then I think doing it that way and then coming back to everybody and being in a room just added to the how awesome it is. I mean, there's nothing like a drummer, especially like Adam, when you're in the room playing guitar with him drumming, you're going to rip even more because it's just you're in the room and you're hearing him drum. So I think that just stoked everybody out to be in the room with him and each other.
Yeah, every time when I see him like be with a guest or or seem like he's with Alkaline, like he puts us all right into it. Like since from the first song, I love the way he drums.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I do want to ask about you and your brother's songwriting together because I know you guys collaborate a good. And I'm just curious, just from a songwriting standpoint, where does he help you with your songs? Where do you help him with his songs?
It's been a journey with that because for a while, I was just okay to be a guy on the side. And I think that going through a situation like I mentioned that song "The Ditch" earlier, um, that song came from a very tender place in my life where, um, I was just in a really bad spot, and I was coming off the train. I was working at the restaurant back then, and I was in between tours working at the restaurant, and came out of the train, and it sort of just dawned on me like, if I can't make it out of this ditch, I better make a home of it. That line hit me, and I knew it was good. I knew it was gonna make for a good chorus. The melody, I think, came kind of right along with it, and up until then, I think we had worked on like the Flinch together, that song on Bury Me in Philly, and I ain't flinching anymore. That was something that was in my notebook for some time, and I was so happy to like find a home for it. I think the process of sharing something that was so near and dear just kind of it reinforced to me like, wait a second, I think I need to be the one that's singing this chorus. And like I'm happy to be singing harmony on it, but like this just feels like my truth. And like I'm blessed enough to be able to go out and sing it for people, but it kind of just lit this sort of other fire in me to like, wait, I think I have my own song to sing. And so then it kind of shifted gears because I used to bring to him these really like, in my eyes, it was like real fertile ideas. And it was like, hey, let's bring this to the session, see what happens. And I think it's changed a little bit in that, like, if I have a germ of an idea, unless I'm hearing it in Dave's voice, I'm kind of like thinking that I'm going to be the one to sing it. And I think vice versa is true as well. And that's kind of been our policy all along is like whoever comes up with the germ of the idea is the one who gets to decide where it goes and how it's produced and all those kind of things. So there has been some instances of that where I was like, I brought it, hey, this has been kicking around. I'm thinking of that song, Sandy Sheets. That was one where I had that melody. I had the You Were Like a Ladder to the Clouds bit, and I thought that had some legs to it. But I didn't know really what to do with it, and it was just a perfect opportunity where it was like it went part and parcel with some idea that Dave had kicking around. So it's really changed over the years, but it's an amazing, and we try to always just be like, we put the relationship first, and that's led to the songs being good, and I think like just good vibes being the prevailing thing. It's like, hey, our brotherhood is first and foremost. And if we have that intact, then everything else kind of falls into place underneath it.
I agree with that. Right now I'm currently looking for a new drummer. And I feel, and I'm at a point now where I'm looking for mostly just good vibes instead of just who's technically efficient, basically, because I want to make sure that we can all get along in a good fashion and there's no drama. We can talk about it, and that just helps bring the bond a lot bigger as a band and better, stronger as a band.
Absolutely. It's huge.
And then on tour, you can always just take Mikey Erg, right? Because doesn't he drum for every band ever?
Yeah. It's
Pretty
great.
much. I just saw him down at Fest, like playing 25 sets. Like it's just ridiculous.
That doesn't surprise me.
I don't know how he does it.
I don't either. He just had to run from venue to venue each time. It was fucking wild.
It's great.
So now that he put out pre-existing conditions on what's coming next. You have a tour coming up, or
Yeah, so Dave and I, the day after the election, I fly out to Phoenix, and he and I play Tucson, and then there's a couple drive days in there. We play one other show, I believe, in like Arkansas, and then we go to Florida, and we're gonna do some writing in Florida, and then we have a couple gigs in Florida, and then we move our way up the coast, and so it's about like 3 weeks of work, a good amount of shows. It should be, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good time. Having just come off the first solo tour of my own and not touring with him, I'm really like, you just gain perspective and you kind of realize like how magical it is to be able to travel with a family member. And so I'm really looking forward to it. It really gave me a renewed, like kind of invigorated my perspective on working together. So really looking forward to that. We have that going on. And then really the year is wrapping up after that. Like we get home a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and then that's kind of it. We do a home for the holidays gig with the Souls at the end of December with the band. So that'll be really fun to kind of end the year off with a bang. And then we're hitting it in January, February. We go back over to the UK. We hit Ireland and UK, a couple gigs in Scotland, a couple gigs in England. So I'm looking forward to that. A lot of the people that came out on this past tour I was on, they were like, "Oh, we'll see you in February." Looking forward to it. So that's cool. And then from there, it's just I play a couple gigs around the area. One in Philly, one in Boston, one in Brooklyn, and one in Asbury Park. And I'm gonna have a band out with me, and fun to play with the band. And then we're gonna get right into Sing Us Home prep. We've been doing that, quite a bit of that already. We got way ahead of it this year, which is great. We locked in the Bouncing Souls and Frank Turner, which is a hell of a way to start it off, and feeling really good about that. So a lot of work to be done, but it's all good stuff, and everything is looking good. I'm feeling good about it.
Sam, I think it's faster for some mini games. Don't you think so, Ed?
I think so.
So this segment's called Surprise Motherfucker. Surprise Motherfucker. We got some quick fire questions for you.
Sounds
And
good.
from you being from Philly, my first one is, where's the best cheesesteak?
I'm partial to Delisandro's. Delisandro's, it's not in Center City, it's in the northwest section of the city, and, I'm partial to it because I grew up 1 block away, and it's just, it tastes like home to me, and it's awesome. It's been featured now, the jig is up. It used to be, like, kind of like a Philly-only thing, but now the secret's out, and, Jimmy Fallon's had it featured on his show and all. I think the Roots kinda tipped him off to it, and so, he's gone there during his show and whatever. So, but yeah, that's the spot. Love it.
We had Kelly Goldsworthy on, I think when we first started the podcast, and she told me that, I think she gave her spot, I think she does Flandros too. But I think she also told me that Dave puts ketchup on his. Do you do the same thing, or?
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, I got a great order. I got cheesesteak with salt, pepper, ketchup, mayo, fried onions, and crushed hot peppers. And
I
I'm
like
not
that.
like a real crazy mayo guy. Like, I don't really just put mayo willy-nilly on anything, but mayo, something about the mayo plus the meat and the cheese, it just kind of all something happens. I don't know. There's some kind of witchcraft that goes on with those 3 elements, and it just turns into this deliciousness. I don't know. It's crazy.
If you want a good mayo, I highly recommend, if you ever make it at home, use Kewpie. This is so much better than regular, like store mayo by far.
I'm
Um,
I might have to try that on a cheesesteak.
We can't do this without talking about pizza then too, if we're talking about food. So where's the best pizza in Philly?
Pizza in Philly. Oh man. I'm gonna go with another homer pick. It's nearby my hometown neighborhood. It's in East Falls. This guy Artie in Riva, he's a buddy of ours. His pizza is incredible. But it's a little bit different. He's got the wood fire thing going on. So it's not like, if you're looking for a standard like slab of pizza, it's really hard to say, honestly. Like, Pizzeria Badia is incredible. But yeah, I had to go in Riva. And Riva's great. Also Roma's, I'm partial to Roma's because it's right in my home neighborhood. Sometimes you have all these pizzas around the world. You have like the best, and then sometimes you just want to taste at home. So I know it's like, it's not technically the best, but you can't fuck with nostalgia. When nostalgia is a part of the taste, you can't fuck with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I can't. When we were coming back from our tour with the Peanuts, Ian and I drove through my hometown, and I made him eat my hometown pizza, and that was a
Yep.
taste of home. Yeah.
Absolutely.
do you have a favorite style of pizza, out of curiosity?
Just like New York style, honestly. Like, that's to me, it's like, it's hard to top that. Like, I don't really, the Chicago deep dish is like, I don't even know if it's pizza. It's kind of more of like a baked good or something, but
It's like a pot pie almost.
yeah, exactly. Like pizza pot pie. Yeah, I don't know.
Now, you mentioned the Beatles earlier. What's your Mount Rushmore Beatles records?
I would say Abbey Road, Rubber Soul, Revolver, and Let It Be. I think I gotta go. I think I gotta go with those. I could sit here and like, I could go back and forth, but those are the first 4 that came to my mind. I feel like I just gotta commit to them.
All right, I'm gonna get kicked off my own podcast, but why are the Philadelphia Eagles better than the Baltimore Ravens?
Oh no.
Well,
I don't know that they are. I don't know that they are, especially not this year. Honestly, that's the Ravens have long been my AFC team that I love to root for. They're right down the street. It's a bird. I love that. There's also the Edgar Allan Poe connection with Philly. He actually wrote a bunch of stuff in the Wissahickon, which is not too far from my house. This like green space that's in the middle of the city. It's like wooded area. He wrote a lot of stuff there. So I don't hate on the Ravens at all. I'm not gonna sit here and claim that they're better, because I think honestly the Ravens have probably a way better track record. They've been a franchise for way less time and already have, doubled our success. So I can't be front.
we just being closer friends just now.
Love it.
We had
I
like
once tried,
birthday.
while we were on tour, our friend who's from the UK, he literally imprints on the first thing he sees, and the first thing he saw was the Baltimore Ravens when we went to Primanti's in Pittsburgh. and so that's now his favorite football team. And I tried to convince him that like if you want to sound like a real like local, you should just yell "Go Birds" because Ravens are birds.
Yeah.
And I let him go with that for like 5 minutes before I was like, don't yell that.
Yeah.
If you're out at a bar for karaoke, what's the first song you're singing?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Oasis, and it's not gonna be Wonderwall. It's probably like "Don't Look Back in Anger." I think "Don't Look Back in Anger" is probably my go-to. Yeah,
I think
I
that's the first karaoke song I heard Ian sing.
really
New
Yeah.
Year's Eve on 2023.
nice.
I was kind of forced to go up there to go sing. Glad to.
I'm a bully.
Did you get tickets for the Oasis tour?
I did not. I'm too spoiled. I'm too spoiled by getting into stuff for free or knowing somebody here or there. Like, when it comes time to like, oh wait, should I go to this? And then I'm like, wait, but I have to pay. Yeah, I don't know about all that. I just, I'm too spoiled, man.
I gotta
So you-
spend money. Yeah.
So you just got done touring over in the UK. What was the best thing you ate over there?
Oh God. The best thing you can eat over there, in my eyes, is a Sunday roast. There's nothing like a good Sunday roast. Any place, any good pub, you're gonna have Sunday roast. And so that's first and foremost. But my kind of bullshit answer would be to say Nando's, which I would imagine you guys know what's up with Nando's because they're down around that region, right? So I'm sure my British friends would be like, man, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're gonna say Nando's? I'm just kind of saying it as a goof because I gotta
But
get
I fuck with names. Peer. Oh, God.
man.
What are your musical guilty pleasures?
I don't have any guilt with it. I just go with it, and if I like it, I like it. And if somebody thinks I'm a loser, then they can go stay over there and think I'm a loser. I'm fine with it. I'm not worried about what people think. So I would say Swift, like Taylor Swift. I mean, if I have to be guilty about liking her, that'd be insane. But I think a lot of people are, a lot of musicians would be like, oh, she's just too famous or whatever. I don't know. I think maybe people get jealous or whatever. I don't know what the case is, but I think she's an awesome songwriter. I think she's been able to do it across all different type of genres. And I think she's been proving it since she was just 14. Like she signed a songwriting deal at the age of 14. And not only like she delivered on that, but she's delivered to the tune of being like the most successful like artist ever or whatever, and if she isn't already, she will be by the time she's done, I think. So I would have to say her. Like, I don't know how you continue to put out great music and great records and keep like her work ethic is second to none. That she continues to crank these things out so fast, and they're all like, to me, I think they're really good. I mean, there's the Tortured Poets thing. It kind of got me because they put out like 30 more songs like 2 hours after it came out, and that overwhelmed me. It's too much. I can't take all this in, but. Yeah, I would say Taylor.
See, I'm in the same boat where I'm not going to claim I'm a Swiftie by any stretch of the imagination. I respect her as a songwriter and as a performer. I just know that her music's not really meant necessarily for me, but I still respect the fuck out of her at the end of the day. She only did one thing that really kind of drove me up the wall a little bit, or maybe it's her magic or whatever. I have no idea. But I remember, I think for one record, she put out one variant and said, yeah, Give Us a Rose is going to sell out. Sold out in like 5 seconds. Then like the day after that, she put out another variant too. Like that's not fair. Just release them all at the same fucking time.
She's incredible. And she knows she will do. She'll put variants, and then it's like this song only available on this variant, which is like, damn, that's cold. It's like, people are out there spending like $250 on every variant because they need to have every song on vinyl. But it's like, damn, you kind of can't fuck with how good of a capitalist she is, though. Cleaning up.
Yeah, I'll be real. I'm not investing in their stuff. If she said, hey, Black Guy Fawkes, come on tour with me, in a fucking heart, because that's just
it'd be dope.
Exactly.
You would just go on stage and interrupt her during one of her songs.
I,
Be like, this is for you, Kanye.
Oh God,
would I? If you got me drunk enough, I probably would.
that'd be wild. No, I want this to happen. I want you to go out on tour with Taylor. That'd be incredible.
Tim, I'm gonna let you finish. But Tim House is best.
Best musician out of Philly.
That's good.
She was like from Philly originally or something, right?
She's from Wild Missing. She's from like out in the middle of Pennsylvania. It's a good zone out there, but she's she came like she's from like a Christmas tree farm. I don't know how you get any more idyllic than that. Growing up on a Christmas tree farm like that's just wild. But yeah, she's from out there.
Farts probably smell like candy canes.
Yeah, right.
My last one for you is on your bucket list of who do you want to tour with next? Who's on your list to tour with?
Is this like just any to tour with anybody?
Tour of anybody, yeah. If you could tour with anybody,
Any unrealistic option?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to go with Taylor Swift after this conversation. I mean, it would be how sick would that be? Yeah, I mean, it honestly to pick one, it's just so hard to do it. I mean, I would love to tour with the National. I'd love to tour with. I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed not to want to tour with these two guys who are playing guitars and they're lighting the whole world on fire with Zach Bryan and Noah Khan. Those two guys, like it would be sick to play with them because I think that people in their audiences are kind of primed to be liking a guy singing about his feelings with a guitar. So from a like, stickiness perspective and trying to get the fans to stick with you, that I would probably say those two guys. But I mean, Taylor Swift, biggest artist in the world, that'd be so. I mean, why not?
That's the bill right there. Taylor Swift, Tim House, and Black Man Fox, and Black Hawk Down all together.
Black Hawk Down. Oh my god, that's incredible that somebody said that.
I'm saying for as much as he likes the musical Cats, he's got to release an EP called Black Guy Fawkes, where he just does like 4 songs from Cats and puts it out there.
With Taylor Swift.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for coming on. Again, your new record is coming out sometime after this podcast is released.
Yeah, Pre-Existing Conditions is going to be out on all streaming platforms on February 14th for you lovers out there. We will be playing some record release shows in the month of February around my hometown of Philadelphia. It's going to be up and down the East Coast, 4 gigs. Not going too far from home, but those will be there. We released the next single, Summerkiss, is coming out on November 15th. So pre-save that one and get ready to listen to that one. It's a perfect song to be listening to in the fall. And, that's one I've been playing for quite some time in our live sets. We did a Haunted Churches tour at the beginning of 24, where we played in all these big churches over in Germany and the UK. And I was singing that song over there, and it just was a magical time. And by the end of the tour, people were singing a lot right there alongside me, and it was a beautiful thing. That's one that it seems like people have really responded to in the live set, and I'm glad that I brought it in live so now people can already be in love with it, and then they can just fall back in love with it again when they hear it on the record. So look for that one out November 15th.
I cannot stress enough how good this record is. This is awesome having you on, actually, like reconnecting again since April, and I can't wait to see you again. I may be coming to I think I'm coming to the Monktown show, so I'll be there for that.
Hell yeah.
And we need to get some shows together here soon too.
I know, seriously, we got to get something going. That tour I just was on, man, I had this kind of I had this kind of wish in my mind of like kind of building our own like revival tour like coalition, like where it's just, hey, these are guys, they know how to tour, they know how to play, they know how to perform, and it's a handful of us. And we, we can dip our toe in the punk world, we can dip our toe in the folk world, and everybody brings a small crowd with them, and we just go around and mix it up, tell stories from the stage, and play songs. And you were right there when I was thinking of this whole thing at the end of that tour. I'm like, man, Ian would be a great guy to have go out on this. Who knows if it'll happen? I would love to put some kind of like, revival tour-esque thing together where it's like, hey, these are some like, of our era guys that are doing and sort of have the stamp of approval from our older brothers in the revival tour.
And that's actually how I first found out about Dave, because I watched the one with Tim, Brian, Chuck, and Dan. back in Cologne. And then when Dave did had his birthday at Cold Spring, that's my
Yeah.
first discovery of you. I'm like, that's fucking amazing. I'm mad I never got to actually like witness that live.
We got to do it again. We've been talking about doing that again ever since we did the Cold Spring one. Man, it was so cool.
Anyway, it was you, Dave, then and Corey Brandon.
Yep.
Ooh, that was a big fucking discovery for me. He is fucking insane.
Yeah, he's amazing. Just amazing talent. Awesome songwriter, awesome player, awesome singer. He's got the triple threat.
But yeah, it's been so good to have you on, man. And
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having me.
up again.
I guess I'll see you in Monktown then.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
This show is the brainchild of Black Guy Fawkes folk punk griot. You can find him on all the social medias as Black Guy Fawkes or Black Guy Fawkes Music, as well as on Bandcamp. Merch, music, and ticket sales are how independent music gets sustained, but word of mouth also helps a great deal. The intro and outro are both from the song New American Meltdown by Black Guy Fawkes, so that's legally covered because this is his podcast, and that is his song available on the album Life, Love, and the Bomb. Additional music elements provided by Ben Dumb Production Music. Check out more at bdmusicproduction.com for all your bespoke, royalty-free background music needs. Sound design and editing by Ed Coulard, who appears courtesy of his dog and many, many cats. Cover art by Jacob Matthews, a pal who has been down since day one. Finally, while Fawkes and Friends firmly believes that punk rock is and should be a safe space, we know it can't be safe for everyone without excluding bad elements. So remember,
So tell your local Nazis and your fascists to fuck off.